Welcome back everybody to the channel. Welcome to those of you that are new here. I read tarot and energy intuitively. We have 3 groups for you to choose from today. The theme of today's pick a card reading is going to be like, where have you been? And I do expect that we will have some sort of like cross-watchery kind of energy come through as well. So it'll be interesting to see like what side of this you end up on and if you have somebody else come through. That being said, we have group 1 with the Pagan tarot and the Carnelian. So for those of you, we have group 2 with the Stranger Things tarot and the Fluorite. We have group 3 with the Crow tarot and the Lepidolite. So you can take a moment to choose whichever group you feel the most drawn to. Timestamps are in the description box and we will get started with group 1. Just keeping in mind that these messages are like general of nature. So it's not the same as having like a personal reading done, although they can sometimes come through with like a really strong resonance, okay? Yeah, and we'll get started with group 1. Okay, welcome in group 1. If you chose the Carnelian, this will be your reading today for where have you been. I immediately was getting somebody else's energy wanting to come through in the card. So I do feel like there's definitely someone here that it's like, I can't help but feel like it's not really something you want to have come through, but it's them wanting to come through and be seen. That being said, I kind of pushed back on that, and I've got some cards here and we'll just go through it and see if it kind of comes back again or not. I do feel for some of you, I guess like part of the message around something like that kind of topic could be that it's this specific person could be like inquiring about where you've been. The other side of it is this could actually have something to do with like you going MIA or kind of being a little bit more like withdrawn or private or keeping a low profile or just not being around, even if it's not like any sort of real, I don't know, like strategic thing. It could just literally be like I just don't want to be near it kind of thing as well. So we have the 5 of Cups, and this to me looks like you guys have been going through a period of like grieving, maybe loss, maybe sorrow, maybe hurt, maybe just a disappointing time in life where it's just, I don't know, like it just feels like things maybe didn't pan out the way that we had like hoped or that we'd wanted, or we like thought we were I don't know, I just heard like when things go from like bad to worse, so just take what resonates there. But it seems like you may have been given some sort of, I got like the word spiritually appointed come through, time for healing, where I actually feel like it's allowing, blocking other things out and allowing yourself to come back to like your natural energy. And there's something here where it is a little bit of a level up as much as it is like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the way I'm getting it is kind of like spirit carved out specific time for you to go back to basics, to do the simple things, the things that matter, the things that are like close to home, giving you space for healing. And it's the way that I'm getting this come through is kind of like, normally when we see the Empress, you know, she's like on a throne and she's wearing like really nice clothes or has like all the embellishments or whatever it is, right? There's like this sort of appointed position within like society or hierarchy or status sometimes can be a thing as well. Whereas this very much seems like a very humble version of the Empress. It seems like it's very down to earth. It obviously could definitely be like earth sign kind of zodiac energy coming through here as well, but it is more just like the energy, right? So it's like confirmation for those of you that, you know, that resonates with, and it doesn't just have to be like your sun sign. It can be, you know, a number of different placements in your chart, or it could be like a stellium or something like that. That being said, we'll put that to the side and keep going. So to me, this is like very humble, very modest, getting Virgo for some of you. So the Empress actually typically is like Taurus or Libra. So I mean, confirmation on earth sign in terms of like Taurus or Virgo. But there's also, I feel, then, I don't know, some of you may not really be into zodiac, so Capricorn could be a thing for you as well, just to put that out there. Anyway, that being said, so there was something here about like going back to basics, doing the things that are like good for us, and the things that like we like, or they're kind of healing in nature. And there could be something here about like even just spending time with family, or just spending time with women, or just spending time with like, I don't know, the same sex in like family relations, or kind of, it's making me think of supportive figures of the same sex. Some of them may be role models. Like I kind of get an energy of like someone taking care of you, but you also taking care of others. Like it's not even about being reciprocal. This is very much like it's this emotionally supportive space, or relationships. Like I don't feel like you've like gone to like a women's circle or some sort of like workshopy retreat, whether it's about women or not. Do you know what I mean? Gender's not meant to matter here, even though a lot of like my viewers are definitely female. But the point is, it's like a feeling of being at home. This could be a creating your own home or a new home as well. This could be really planting seeds for the future. So that it's like you're putting your roots down. It's very, very grounded energy here. And there's something here where it's like people may not really see you as whatever this like built up projected kind of narrative of an Empress would typically be in their mind, right? They're like, maybe they look at you and they're like, makeup's not done, hair's not done, clothes aren't this, eyebrows not on point. I don't know. This could, you know, vice versa. If whatever however it is you dress, right? Maybe you're like a person that has more of like a natural aesthetic or something like that, or you are not super flashy, even though you could still have like nice things, or maybe you wear things that you like or that they're like comfortable or something, as opposed to like what's on trend or whatever that could be. So there's something here where I think people may see you and they may kind of from the outside of this idealized projected version of whatever they think an Empress would be, whatever the characteristics that society typically would tell them to put on a pedestal, how they would categorize that. But there's something here of it being a case where you're kind of like the embodiment of like a real Empress. And when I say this, I don't mean like, you know, if I went into an empire, you know, the whole kind of stereotype of an Empress and Emperor. But what I mean is a super well-rounded person, a person who literally ticks all the boxes, a person who matters in all the right ways, and a person who actually is probably deeply attractive in a lot of different ways as well. But it would be something where it's like, maybe you're in a period where you're not, I just feel it doesn't even matter what it is, whatever it is that people might expect you to do, or they might do themselves and kind of think that others should or something. I just get something here where it's like, maybe you're actually just really comfortable in your skin. Maybe you're not out there trying to flash yourself in front of people or something like that. You're like pretty secure, or just like, I don't know. it's maybe you're just like happy. I don't like, I know this might sound bizarre, but I think some people, they're just not happy. And so that's kind of how they help fill the void, right? Is paying attention to those other things or focusing on them for themselves or whatever. It can definitely be an ego thing here. And I think there's something where like your ego is very well rounded out. And so I think some people from the outside might be looking at this like, well, group one's gone through a very sad, depressing, grieving time, and now they're like cooped up away, and it doesn't look very glamorous from like the outside or something. And so I think they're in some sense maybe not writing you off as like an amateur energy, but maybe like intermediate, like maybe you're kind of between, maybe you're like a new, maybe you've just sort of graduated into some sort of like intermediate adult type energy, or I don't know, it doesn't have to be in terms of how people allocate accomplishments in terms of like what creates a responsible adult. It could be anything, right? But there's something here where I think people have to acknowledge it, but they still haven't, they've only sort of seen this like 2D version, like they've only seen this like flat painting or picture on the wall. They haven't really seen or felt or engaged with the process or the things that have been going on behind it. So for some people here, I actually think they think that you've kind of been, I don't know, there is an essence here where I do feel like you've gone away or been quiet or not so like out there or involved, or I don't know, maybe you've not been as social, or you're just happy in your own energy. I actually feel like that's maybe more of what it is. It's like you're spending time in your own energy. So there is something here, it's like they kind of acknowledge that you're having this time in your own energy, but they don't really see it for what it is. And I think a lot of people know, I don't know, I don't even want to say that. I don't feel like that's right. I feel like, I don't know, I'm getting a blend of energies here. So I just want to say like different people could be, you know, kind of thinking different things. Like some people, I think they actually know that there's maybe a lot more going on behind the scenes here, and they're actually trying to kind of like honor that, or they're kind of curious, but they don't want to like pry. They don't want to be rude. They want you to be able to tell them on your terms when you feel comfortable, kind of thing. Others, to be honest, they're just not really paying attention. They've kind of moved on with their own life, but they've noticed that you're just not really around or something like that. Or that you could be popping out again in some way, even if it's only very small. Could be in some sort of post on like social media or something like that. The other thing that I get is I do get like a bunch of people that maybe feel kind of like they superficially think they understand what's going on, but they just don't have a clue. Feel like there's always that version of it, right? But anyway, if there are children here, I feel like they're pretty happy, they're thriving, kind of like confident kids, like secure kids, kids that are well engaged in the process. Some of you may have felt at times that what you had to give was not enough. But I actually am taking this as confirmation of like the healthiest possible version of a mix of what your experience kind of to date was, whatever this journey was that sort of got you to this point, with, you know, actually being a very healthy parental role model and just like kind of nurturing and supportive there. And I feel like there may have been times that other people have, whether it's like one particular close family member or whatever that looks like, there's like one kind of external person. It could be more, it's hard to say how many people or whatever. It feels like someone who would feel like at home, and they may have been able to help chip in at different moments when this stuff was kind of really all a mess. But I think it's just really helped you put your roots down, and you've actually carried this, I feel like it's a burden, incredibly well. So I'm not sure if it's an actual burden or if it's just how you feel about it. I think there's part of this that needs to acknowledge or validate something here that's kind of part of your experience or how you've been feeling, or something like that anyway. But there's some sort of note here that if there is children in the picture, they're doing well, you've done great, you don't need to stress so much about it, kind of thing. So I think some of you may still be holding on to some sort of like emotion around either a period of time or something like that, or maybe like an inability to show up in an emotionally present or available way, even if you're actually physically there, like doing the things. So take what resonates. Of course, not everybody has children. I would say for some of you that even if you didn't have children, there could have been some type of like a wholesome supportive work or something, like some sort of carer's role, some sort of, I don't know what it is. I'm getting the word matroness. I don't know if it's matronescence or matroness. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but female figures, maybe a little bit older or something, a little bit more graduated in life, and they've somehow chimed in different moments in time. Okay, there's also something here that's like an acknowledgement of, I feel like it could be like a starting again in a different, I don't know if it's like a different area of life, or you feel like you're starting again in life, where you may, I don't know, for some of you I have to say it's going to be like foundational. It's going to be a part of your like safety and belonging that you create for yourself within the world. So it is in a lot of sense like a very initiatory energy here that I am actually getting. I am also getting here that there is probably going to be something about this time or whatever this next part of the journey is that you're about to undertake that is going to put you in alignment with somebody else, maybe of around a similar, I don't know if I want to say like mindset or stage in life or level or something like that. And I think that this stage is going to be really foundational to not only like your kind of security and that sense of belonging that we mentioned, and or it's like the ability to give yourself a rock solid ground, right? Part of this is actually going to be really good for your self-worth and your confidence and your willpower. And there's something here with the willpower is like kind of tied in with discipline, right? Where I feel like you've already somehow managed your discipline better than you maybe have before, where you're like really ready for this. And I feel like even if it seems you seem detached in some way, that you are very ready for it. It feels like maybe your soul is quite open to it, or there's some sort of, even if it's not being totally detached, some of you could feel very at peace with this. Like it's I'm not sure how else to kind of say it, so we'll just leave that there. I do feel like part of this is going to be part of kind of like a divine journey for you on this path that you're taking and choosing to take, and that it's definitely going to help sharpen and getting like a mental acumen is one thing. Some of you could be looking at undertaking studies. Some of you could be like changing industries or something. Like I kind of get like STEM stuff come through for some of you, but it doesn't have to be that. Some of you, this could just be like stepping into a different stage of life where we're actually relying on different I don't know what I want to say, like functions. So like maybe if we've navigated a lot of our life through like the emotional realm, this looks like we're actually going to be a little bit more logical. We're going to be a little bit more detached. Maybe that's what I was picking up on. And there's an ability to just kind of sit with that in a very neutral way. So we're understanding, we're not taking things personally, we're not taking things on that we don't need to. We have the ability to have a little bit more clarity than we've maybe had in the past as well. It actually, despite the fact that it's like such a mental energy, still feels quite healing, and it still feels like it's quite grounding, and it feels like it's going to be really good for you, for setting you up for, you know, some of you could be, it does feel like a little bit further, I don't know, for some of you I do feel like you could be like maybe middle-aged. I want to say you're at least close to 30, if not not under 30. So take what resonates there. I just feel, I don't know, I mean, we're all on different timelines, right? Some of you could be kind of aging up closer to it, but I actually feel like a lot of you are probably closer to, you're like kind of, the bulk of people in this group are like kind of 35 and over, right? Obviously there is older people in this group. So yeah, it feels like kind of navigating a new or a different landscape. And I think there's something here about the time that you had that spirit kind of kept carved out for you has really set that foundation for you to do well in a period of time that's going to be a bit different, maybe not like one we've ever really seen. And I think it's going to give you the ability to kind of adapt with like the landscape or the change of times or like an error in time or something like that. I know there's like a lot going on in the news at the moment, specifically, I don't even want to say in Australia, right? There's a whole lot of stuff going on worldwide right now with talk of different things and conflicts and I guess wars and things like that. And I think a lot of people freak out about scarcity, and depending where you live, you know, everybody's government and I guess people that also occupy the space can really get quite overwhelmed or scared or be faced with a lot of different types of challenges that we're not every day. So there's something there. I feel like this reading's not meant to be about that stuff, but it just kind of needed to be like very gently acknowledged and then kind of put to the side and move on, because I feel like a lot of that stuff we don't want to feed into it. We don't really want to give it too much attention or energy. We don't really want to, like, I feel like right now we're actually like staying grounded, we're protecting our peace, we're protecting our calm, we're very in this moment in time, regardless of what's going on in any other place, right? It's like where you are right now is what matters, and it doesn't matter like who sees that, who doesn't, what else is going on. I think this, do you know what I actually get for this group? Not that I've had a card come out for it, but I might take some more cards in a second. Is I actually get for this group, this may be like the first time in your life where you are stepping into your own kind of like main character energy. And it really started with like being in this Five of Cups energy, however that came about, like whether that was through like a separation or something not working out or some type of like hurt or grief or loss or something, whatever that was or is, was really like the first step, and this sort of healthy, down to earth, healing, taking care, like nurturing version of our like this Empress energy I've talked about. There's no way your future could look like what it is about to or going to without you having made the choices that you've made, and without you doing what you've done and experienced what you have. So I think there's something here, it's like really important to acknowledge that, right? Is there anything else here? I feel like for a lot of you, this could have been the feeling of not living up to other people's standards. So, or if it wasn't that, it could have been that maybe people don't really know you that well, or maybe when they got to know you more, there was something here where it was like these, I just need to say for some of you, the people that you were around or something about this situation could have had other people in some type of like that. I feel like they would still be living in insecurity, and they're still living in uncertainty and survival. And I was actually getting messages before taking cards today that I wasn't sure if it was really going to be connected to the reading or not, but I can see now that it is. It was talking about the fact that like no one really acknowledges, I don't know, it feels really short-sighted to say it, but I just think people talk about like being in survival, or like just, you know, there's no real acknowledgement of, like, you're either in it or you're kind of not in it. Like, people don't really talk about how you get out of it. People don't really talk about how hard it can be to get out of it, and like the cycles that can continue to play out and whatnot. And sometimes the choices that you're faced with might actually be impossible. And people, on a very basic level, if they are not in survival themselves, it doesn't look like it makes sense from their point of view. Or maybe they're in survival, but maybe their survival is like a different version of survival, or maybe their problems are different. So it's like they're so focused, maybe they're so held down. So like, even if you weren't, I kind of feel for you guys, at some stage you were able to get yourself out of survival in some way, and you may have had somebody else that was still living from that place, and I don't think they really recognized it for what it was. I think there's something here that they were kind of grateful for what they had, but you guys were like in a misalignment or a mismatch somehow in stages of where you were at, and this other person wasn't really able to honor it, and I think that was really painful. And I think for you, yeah, you got yourself out of this survival mode for however long or whatever, and it really looked like you being able to step into who you are and actually embrace your own truth. And I think for some people, they are not really interested in, you know, any real evolution, or I don't know, it's hard, because I feel like from both sides it would be so hard for either person to kind of see and understand this. So I mean, for some of you, this is not so much like people having done terrible things, not saying that that hasn't happened with either different people or in the past or different scenarios. But it definitely could be a strong theme here of people just not on the same level, okay? And that could have been really disappointing or a bit heartbreaking. And it could have felt like to you that you were kind of on your own in a period, even if you had people around. So whatever that looks like, I feel like I have talked for quite a while with this reading. We've had quite a bit come out. So like, where have you been? I actually feel like a lot of you have been like tucked away somewhere, maybe at home, maybe just around family or a couple close people or something like that. Some of you could have been studying. This feels a lot more withdrawn. So even if you've not just been at home for a long time or a lot of your time, there could be something here where you've like stayed close to home, or even if you're going out and doing whatever the normal routines are, you could have been kind of internally withdrawn from whatever it is that you're kind of engaging in. But I feel like whatever it is, you have been separate from this other person that was trying to come in at the start. And I just need to say, there's also some sort of acknowledgement here that the fact that we were able to get through this part of the reading, because I feel it has actually been like, you know, a decent amount of time without this other person being able to push back in. This is also a confirmation for you of that sense of self, and I don't know if I want to say self-worth, but like that strong, you being in your own energy, you allowing yourself to be the main character of your life, or finally kind of coming into that or working that out somehow, whatever that looks like. You allowing yourself the space to just be in whatever the moment brought to you. This is really good. Okay, so there was also a message that I had earlier, like red seems to be kind of important for this group, like connected to like the root chakra. And I was getting something here about like some of you may feel kind of a lack of energy at this point. And for those of you that work with crystals, Carnelian could be one that will help you kind of fire a little bit quicker or a little bit more easily, or there could be something to do with like a little bit of an increase in energy. For some of you, this could be a call to do things that may help you do that as well. So just take what resonates there, because I understand that's, I don't know, we're all experiencing different things. Some of you, if you have access to, if you're not doing it already, like I just want to say like healthy food, just things that we know are healthy, things that grow in the ground. I'm not saying like don't eat meat or be vegan or vegetarian or anything. I'm just saying like let's steer away from processed food a little bit if we can. If you've got the choice, it's so weird because it's not something that I like would feel like I would ever personally like push on someone, but it is coming through as part of the message. If it's accessible to you, you have the resources available to you to be able to make the choice, to kind of go with like organic choices where you can. I actually think this is maybe a little bit more important for you specifically. So there might be something here where like your system is a little bit more sensitive at this point in time, or it could be a case of a change in life that's going to actually be more beneficial to you than what you may realize. It may have something to do with the effect and energy levels. I don't really want to keep going on about it too much because I feel like I would just be like preaching to the choir or like harping at people. I think what I could say is, because there could be some period of struggle, or even if it's not like financially struggling, it could just be like mental choices as well. Whatever this is, or just like a different way of doing things, right? If there's only like a 20-cent difference, or it almost costs the same to switch out to like an organic option, obviously it's not always achievable. I feel like so many things here I see that are organic are like double the price easily, right? But there are times where there's an organic option available and it really is almost no different. So that might be one way to kind of make it achievable and not put the pressure on yourself if that's something that needs to kind of be done that way. Anyway, that being said, I do feel like there is a really bright sort of future focus here, and I think you're going to do really well at it. And I think this is maybe for some of you the good, better news that you've maybe waited a long time to be able to hear. Yeah, and now do we want to acknowledge this other energy, or are we just keeping it like with where you've been? No, they're just saying with where you've been. That, I don't know, it's kind of weird how it would like come in at the front and we would like push back on it and it wouldn't come through. And I would say this is also a confirmation of strong boundaries or spiritual protection in some way of keeping this person out or at bay. I definitely felt like a very strong energy of theirs, like wanting to push through. And it didn't, sometimes that stuff comes through on purpose because we're meant to kind of work through something, understand something from a different perspective, or get an insight we didn't have before, or maybe make sense of it in our minds as we go, right? Like we're kind of a little bit by a little bit unpacking things, even if we're showing up week after week, doing reading after reading, and it might sound the same. There is some sort of, I don't even think it's very conscious. I think it might be a bit more subconscious, to say the least, of kind of processing going on around some of the topics that come up. And I think we'll probably continue to see that happen as we progress. That being said, the energy is totally settled down now. This is everything that I have for you, Group 1. I hope this is helpful to you in some way. If it resonated and you haven't subscribed already, definitely do. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in another one. Okay, welcome in Group 2 if you chose the Fluorite. This is going to be your reading today for where you've been. And so the first thing I was getting was something here about being like a visionary, some type of like manifestation energy, thinking about this. Actually, like normally for me, Seven of Cups is kind of like a choices or a thinking or a feeling things out or something. I think there might be a little bit of that is kind of very dreamy, but this feels like you're already past the knowing what you want or what would mean a lot to you or fill you up. And there's an incredible amount of power, like an extreme amount of power behind this. There could be something here tied in to do with like the lunar phases, particularly like I'm getting like a full moon. You know, sometimes they talk about like super moons or like different color moons. So I feel like there could be something here where it's like a special moon. I don't really keep up with the lunar phases too much. It just kind of, I feel like it gets drowned out on the internet. It's like I will randomly stumble across it. And if it's kind of meant to be a thing, it will be. This feels like a full moon, a new moon, some type of special moon, as in, you know, randomly they'll have like the super moon or like a red moon or something. I was getting the color white come through. So I feel like maybe just whether it's bigger in size, like a super moon, or a new moon or a full moon. It doesn't even matter. I feel like there's something here where you will have like a spiritual significance, or if it's not like something that you already know or understand or get confirmation on yourself through your own intuition, there could be something here where you actually you've kind of done like your visionary, you know, like envisioning whatever this is and dreaming about it or thinking about it, and you kind of there's like a gap in between where you might just be doing whatever you would normally do, and then all of a sudden you would just like have this crazy amount of energy kind of pulsing through. You might feel a crazy drive, you might feel a crazy force, you might feel you know, a lot of emotions, like strong, there's like an intensity here. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. There's like some type of intensity here, and you might just all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, what's the moon doing tonight? And look out, or you might not even think about it. You might actually just like walk outside and or like realize that it's like a full moon or something. Anyway, I know like people that keep up with the tides, you know, if you like fish or you're going to the beach, sometimes people will be paying attention to when the tide is in or out, and they work with the lunar phases in that sense as well. So it could be something so uncanny or candid or spontaneous where all of a sudden you're looking at like the tide timetable and all of a sudden you realize that like, oh shit, tomorrow's going to be a full moon, and then all of a sudden you feel this like upswing or intensity in energy or something. And I think that there's something here though I did get. There is like a lot of emotional fulfillment, but there was definitely something here in terms of like a spiritual significance for those of you that would make sense. Like there is some sort of heightened intuition around this time as well. So I would definitely make the most of that. Fluorite can definitely be one that can assist people in connecting with their intuition. So take what resonates for that. For me, if you're a person working on your self-development, like creating and reinforcing new neural pathways, or working on something like your posture, fluorite would be incredible for you to work with during this time, even if it's just, you know, aligning with the chakra color association of like the third eye and the heart, having some type of connection, because that could be really connecting you with the things that you really want for yourself, for your future, with that direction, as well as the spiritual significance, you know, even to manifest with. So take what resonates. Obviously always trust and use your own intuition first. I would take videos like this as a confirmation as opposed to a specific direction, but you know, you do your own thing. So okay, you could have set your sights on something that you know you want to take action towards, and you're just like kind of waiting for your moment. And I feel like there would be a lot of energy built up. I can't remember what it is, whether it was like static energy or kinetic energy. There's something there where it's like, oh God, I wish I could remember. You know, when something is stationary, but it has like a lot of energy stored in it right before it actually moves, and then all of a sudden all that energy is like released. It feels like that, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's take some more cards. So where you've been, so it's like, I just want to say at the bottom of the deck we have 7 of Cups here, so it's like a double confirmation here, except I feel like yeah, we've already talked about that. We don't need to do it again. Okay. Yeah, so where you've been kind of manifesting or envisioning something for yourself or dreaming about something, and maybe it definitely could be like connection to spiritual practices and meditations, or something else here I'm not hitting the head on in terms of like intuitive things and calling things in. Yeah, I think for some of you, part of whatever this is going to involve becoming an authority or a level up here in some way, but it does feel like maybe taking forced action as opposed to letting it unfold naturally. You may, I don't know if this is something that's already happened or if this is something that is currently happening or will. Yeah, I think this is more of like a heads up kind of thing. So it's like maybe what we've talked about's already happened, where you're at this point of like waiting for your moment kind of thing. You're taking action and you see quite clearly what it is that you want to do, like the decision's made, you've got your eyes on a goal or a target or something that you want to be able to do, or kind of level up in some way and become an authority in some sort of area of your life or industry or something. But there's something here of if you're too forceful with it, because there could be a touch of like a manipulative energy here, right? And when I say that, it doesn't feel like I'm intentionally setting out to sabotage people. I would say that this is less conscious. So I would say that this would be people that are trying to be calculated, or you're trying to be, for the lack of a better expression, kind of strategic, but it feels like you're actually playing into or feeding into some type of like mental game, or it's that calculated energy, and you might not realize, because it might come to you like second nature to kind of be so calculated, or to feel like you're very attached to it. This is weird because I kind of get that you are manifesting so beautifully, like so lovely. Like I just couldn't tell you how to do it better, because it was just already happening for you so naturally, right? But then there's also this thing here of, I guess, like knowing what you wanted, knowing roughly like what the steps were to kind of make moves towards it and take action, and to I do feel like there's this wanting to be of a hierarchy or authority of something, right? And put yourself up on a throne, and I want to be the person that speaks on this, and I want people to listen to me, and I want to be the one that says what goes and what doesn't kind of thing. And there is this kind of behind the scenes, or part of your way in which you climb the stairs to get to the throne, it does feel forced. And there's something here that I think, I don't know how to explain it other than it would be like a faulty foundation for you to force this, because the thing is, you might actually be very capable at this kind of calculated taking steps. And so I just need to clarify that I don't want to tell you to like not take steps towards things that you want in life, but there's something here where it's not honest. Like I feel like you might position yourself really well, where even if you're not directly lying, because consciously you might not be able to handle, or you might compartmentalize in some sense, this would be like very conveniently leaving out bits of information to people that you know would actually make a difference in terms of the outcome. There's just a general lack of honesty here. And I think the thing is that you might actually really pride yourself on being a person who lives quite honestly, or speaks the truth, or something like that. And the thing is that maybe you are honest for the most part. Maybe it's more of a way you navigate situations that's not honest, as opposed to the things you say. Or there could be something here like it could be like taking a fake it till you make it energy a bit too far, where it's not really just like, I don't really feel confident in this moment, but I'm just gonna kind of like suck it up, grit my teeth, and maybe smile anyway, and just acknowledge my like awkwardness on the way, right, through my journey. It doesn't really feel like that. It definitely feels more like that whole kind of calculated, is the best way I can kind of explain it anyway. And there is something here where I do feel like Some of you wanted to intentionally, part of what this was be a person who could say who comes and who goes, who's allowed, or something like that, right? It's a bit more of like a power move than it is like a actually wanting to be finessed in like a craft or being like an art. What am I trying to say? Like, it's like instead of wanting to be really like professing, I think there is a level of wanting to profess, but it doesn't really feel like for the sake of being good at what you do or for being like a quality of care or service or product or experience or like an integrity. It feels like I want to be good at what I do, or people to know that, partly on purpose to fill my ego, but partly on purpose so I can be the authority and tell people what's wrong and what's right and who can do it and who can't. So there's something here about that positioning on what seems like a very faulty foundation through like a lack of honesty in some way. For some of you, I do have to say this may be a lack of honesty just to yourself. So because there is a lot of strong elements of truth speaking here, I do see that. Okay, I need to acknowledge that for you because I feel like it could feel a bit kind of reductionistic for you to hear me say that you're being dishonest, but I actually think a lot of you are kind of intentionally, subconsciously, I don't know, it could be a mix of both here for people in this group, of like whether how the levels of awareness for people coming through in this group are going to vary depending on the person, right? So some of you just don't, you flat out just don't even really understand that you do this or what it is that you're doing, and others of you kind of know that you do it, but maybe you think it's not that bad, or it feels like a very matter-of-fact energy, like, well, this is just like what I have to do this thing, and if I don't, then I just don't get to do it. Like, it's like you're trying to be very, I don't even think you're trying. Like, I think it's just kind of how you are or how you've navigated things so far. There's like a strong energy here of compartmentalization and justification, but it doesn't even feel like what I want to say, it's like you're trading things off very transactionally. It feels very natural. It doesn't feel like a moral conundrum. And I think that's part of what kind of makes it wrong, if that makes sense. And I mean, by all means, if this is, I don't know your story, and I think it's important to remember that we should always like be discerning in our own lives and responsible for the decisions that we make. But there's something here about like a level of accountability. It's like you don't want to, I kind of get an energy here of like, you just want to do this for this short while to get to where you want to go. And then once you get there, you're like, that's when I'm going to be honest. That's when I'm going to be accountable. That's when I'm going to like hold my head high or hold my sword high or speak more truth or something like that. It's kind of like, I just need to do this little thing in between now and then just to get myself where I need to go. And it does feel like for some of you, you actually intentionally wanted to push a person out. So this could have been you trying to collapse a person who was in a position of authority so that you could kind of call judgment, take it for yourself. And even if it wasn't about you swapping positions with them, it feels like you wanted to outcast them in some way and have people call judgment on them. But this is like falsely accused kind of energy that I get. It's like you very much have compartmentalize the actions that you've taken in the situation in comparison to the reality of what actually happened here. This feels like a very strategic, calculated sort of social hierarchy positionary move. That's as best I can kind of explain it. For some of you, you may not have actually tried to intentionally push someone out, even though I think for most of you, you definitely have. And there could be a combination of kind of both things being true here. Some of you, it's like you don't realize this faulty foundation that you're building will be, I don't know if I've already said this because I feel like I might have, but this will be the thing that will kind of end up being, I'm like seeing the Tower card in my mind. It will be that moment where somehow at some stage, it's like, it makes me think there'd be like a specific Mars transit or a specific person that's Mars heavy or dominant that would somehow enter the arena without meaning to, right? Just be in proximity, just be in the environment that you're in at the same time or something like that. And there's something about it because it's just so like confrontational, or it's so honest, or it's so direct, or it's so like just calling a spade or saying like Mars does not care, right? and it's just gonna like show, it's like gonna knock the tower down without actually knocking the tower down. It's like just by whatever that presence or something happening here, it's like the tower will almost feel to you like it's being smashed down, like someone's come in and like knocked it over, as if it was like an angry 5-year-old having an absolute meltdown, like knocking a tower down or something to ruin someone. Like, no, that sounds so weird to say that, right? Because like, I don't know, are they intentionally doing it to ruin someone's day? I think to you it'll feel like someone's doing it to you intentionally, but it's like not really. In reality, all someone did was walk in the room and there was a bit of a breeze that came through the door when they opened up the door, and then your tower fell over because it was built very poorly, and then you'll be like, oh no, like I don't like, what a cringe-worthy oh no. But like, it feels that level flimsy, if that, yeah. Anyway, and then there's something there where it's like you may feel, I don't know if you feel embarrassed, or like there's like a loss of dignity, or it's like the truth is, it's like you may be kind of taken off the throne in some way, or you're the part of the mistruth in whatever way that looks like. Because like I said, not all of you are like directly lying, right? Outright lying. Some of you are just like leaving out bits of information. There's something here where it's like coincidentally, whatever it is that you kind of did to or will do to try to put yourself in that position, because not all of you are going to really take this on, right? You might, acknowledge it, be mindful of it, and decide to go ahead with this anyway. What you'll find is that something to do with the decisions that you make around the situation are actually going to be the things that kind of send you packing and outcast you, and people will then throw judgment on you. What this feels like is, even if it takes a couple years, this other person's name will be cleared, and it will be very obvious to people what happened. And I think there's something here where it's like God, the universe, spirit knows like the truth of the situation. They provide this person safe harmony and transport, or, safe passage is what I want to say, to a place where the universal spirit is who actually calls judgment, and that there's something here about this person's hands are clean, right? They're not red-handed. They've not been caught doing things they shouldn't have. So like, the reality is even if you can convince other people of whatever this is, at some point it's going to come undone. And the other side of it is that in terms spiritually, when we start looking at karma stacking up and things, this person, they're still good, like you don't really affect them in the ways that you might think you do. And I know for some of you it doesn't really feel like you have it out for, it's hard to say because I kind of get both actually. It really could be two things could be true, and it could be slightly different for different people here. Some of you intentionally want this specific person out because, like I said, there was like a position, or there might be something about them that feels kind of threatening to you, or like they might actually be a person who would speak the truth, and we can't have that here if they're going to highlight who you are or how you got here. But the other side of it is it might not be so personal. I do feel like for some of you it's definitely personal. For some of you it might not be so personal. You might have felt like it didn't matter who they were, it was whoever occupied that position, or whoever was kind of in the way, or whoever was a threat, or something like that. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so sort of take what resonates there with that. And the thing that's sad about this is that I feel like you did so well, and you come so far off your own back, and your genuine creativity and your genuine like natural inspiration and drive, and the dreaming things up and the manifestations, all of it was so genuine and real, and you did so well. And then it's like you just get too attached to the outcome, or you risk becoming too attached to the outcome, that you kind of step out of this realm that got you there in the first place. And it's like, instead of just taking action towards something, we're trying to force it, and through that forcing it, it kind of comes crumbling down. And I think there's something here that's, the energy is cleared. That's what I needed to say. Is there anything else here for group 2? Is there anything else here we have for group 2? As long as you understand that spirit is like the person who, or the, entity, or the universe, whatever you want to refer to, whatever you subscribe to makes you feel better at night, is going to be the thing that really weighs up how you stack up in this situation. As long as you're okay with that, then it's like, kind of go ahead and do what you want, because the universe will sort you out anyway. All right. It could be in terms of another person who actually will fly under the radar very close to you, and then I kind of get the image of like the tables have turned, like the wheel spins, and who was once on top is now on the bottom, or something like that. And I don't really want my readings to come through and feel like they're coming through in like a threatening way. This feels like it's not like a personal vendetta. This is like a genuine message from spirit, where it's like a genuine heads up, and it's a genuine call for awareness, like a call for awareness to our situation, the patterns that we play out. I think, like I said again, like I said before, it was like everything, and that first part was so genuine, and it was just so honest, and it was so real, and it was, I don't know how else to say it, but it was like perfect. It was like you don't have to do these other things. Like, it just seems unnecessary at that point. And I think that's the part where it kind of, yeah, again, tips the scales. Anyway, that being said, guys, fluorite could help open that third eye for you, or help clarify that direction, or it could align your heart and your direction together. So there could be something like that, where once those chakras, maybe those chakras specifically, are kind of out of alignment, one or both, and once they're working together in tandem, in harmony, then that will allow you to move forward in a way where we don't feel the need to try to force situations. Okay, so take care of yourselves. I hope that this is helpful and insightful to you in some way, and I will see you in another one. Okay, welcome in group 3. If you chose the Lepidolite, then this is going to be your reading today, on, you know, like where you've been. And I don't know, I feel like group 2 kind of came through a bit more of a like what you've been doing, as much as it was like where you've been. We didn't really, I don't know how to explain it. It was more of like a way you've been kind of mentally, what's been preoccupying their mind. So we'll just see, we'll take note of that, and we'll just see what like comes through for group 3. And try to, even if we go off topic a little bit, we'll try to like bring it back and do a bit of a summary, just to make it kind of clear and a bit cleaner. Anyway, first things that I need to call out for those of you that are listening and paying attention to like zodiac signs, this doesn't have to be something that resonates for everyone. It can just be confirmation for those of you that are paying attention to it. You find it helpful in terms of your resonance, and it doesn't have to just be a sun sign. It can be multiple placements throughout the chart. And we have Scorpio and Taurus. With that being said, I believe Scorpio and Taurus might actually be, are they opposite? Yeah. So I think they're opposite, ends of the same axis. So one thing that I want to say, I was getting a very strong like loner energy coming through here, but I'm also getting something to do with holding on to things, right? Like, I feel like if I look at Scorpio, they can really hold on to things that are kind of like emotionally, I don't know, something to do with the emotions, like, or, you know, whether it's terms of like memories and nostalgia, or, you know, the things being sentimental or almost melancholic at times and stuff. It doesn't have to be so melancholic, maybe, but it could even be holding on to grudges and things. It could be holding on to things in terms of, yeah, memories and emotions. So we'll leave that. But then when I look at like Taurus kind of holds on to I want to say, obviously, objects like material possessions can kind of come through for Taurus, or like financial security can be a big one as well. Taurus, it can also be holding on to like a stubborn position. And it doesn't have to, like, I don't know how to, I'm not trying to say it in a negative way. I'm a very stubborn person, so welcome to the club. But it might not even be that. It could actually be a thing where there's like a wanting to hold on to the way that things have always been done, holding on to traditions or holding on to comfort zones. For some of you, this could speak to some type of union or foundational kind of relationship that you've had in your life over the long term. Some of you, this could actually be a position of some, I don't know, right? I am getting a mix of things, and I'm just going to throw them out, and then we're going to keep going, and hopefully it'll kind of make sense. So I kind of get, on one hand, there's like a phoenix rising up from the ashes, right? There's like that strong transformational evolution. It's undeniable. It's in people's faces. They cannot question the process. They wouldn't understand it if they tried. It's literally like, without science and having lived as long as we have, and unless you lived like, I feel like, unless you live in the natural world, which so many people today don't, or at least I guess where I live, a lot of people are very disconnected from nature. A lot of people, I don't know if they'd really understand how butterflies sort of come to be unless you're like actually immersed in nature, or you're around plants, like, and you actually get to see, the whole process happen. And just because you see it doesn't mean you understand it, right? So people know that there could be a period where you were kind of like hidden, concealed, tucked away, or you kind of went MIA, because not always is it so easy to see the chrysalis that might be on the bottom fold of, a leaf or something, or a hard to see reach place where you just might not be out there staring at your plants, right? Whatever that is. But then all of a sudden this butterfly emerges, and I think there has been some sort of stuff about like how when they go in, the physical change is like so phenomenally crazy and out there that it wouldn't almost make sense to the human mind, because I don't feel like we really undergo a process like that other than like actual birth kind of thing, and that kind of seems to weirdly come out of nowhere and eating food, right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but this feels like a good energy, I need to say, for the first part. Could be something here about like, it sounds so like cliche, but I genuinely get like letting things that kind of no longer serve us, like letting go of things that like do tank us, or that have the potential to almost be like noxious to us in some way. Things that it's like you've done the work. It's like you're not self-sabotaging anymore, or you're getting through layers of it where there's like over time becoming less and less and less, or you're becoming so evolved, or you're so strong. The phoenix, like, can you imagine, like, if we use the analogy of a phoenix, right, being faced with some type of let's pretend it's like I don't want to say a mortal enemy. What I want to say is like a contender. Like, if you come face to face with a phoenix and you've seen the literal transformation that it goes through, and the rebirth and the rising from the ashes like that, and being born of fire of all things, right? That's scary. Like, that's intimidating. It's a wild amount of change, and people don't know how it happens. And it's like, unless you are or also have been the phoenix, that's like, wow, like, whoa, like, what? And it can be very, very intimidating to people. Okay, so there's that side of it. And then the other side of it is here too. I think I started to talk a little bit about like a teacher energy as well. So there could be something here of passing on like a wisdom is sometimes how it comes through. There could be being in a position here where there is attention received for some type of talking or spreading of information as well. And I'm getting the evil eye symbols start to kind of be very like dominant energy for this specific part here to note. So I did get like a very strong loner energy, which actually matches. It is paired with like the Nine of Pentacles, and there is a wolf on the card, and wolves always come through. I don't know why, because wolves are like a pack animal, right? But I always have this kind of lone wolf energy come through, and it very much is like a confirmation to me of that loner energy. And there's something here too with the fact that I don't know if you guys just like, it could be like a couple of things, right? In some sense, you would have people that are listening to you where maybe there's not a lot, but they're like really intensely listening. That, or you're in like a position where people naturally listen or like want to know, or they're trying to learn from you or take on the information that you're speaking. For others of you, this could be very widespread. It could be very much like a what seems like an almost humble beginning actually takes you to a place of like, I wanted to say higher guidance, like as in you're being that person imparting the wisdom, right? So all the things that we kind of know to generally be true for these particular cards. I do have to say there is something here in terms of the transformational energy, the abundance that comes in, that actually seems like genuine, lots of happiness and good times here through this loner energy. So this could actually be something here where you're not allowing people to kind of suck the energy out of you or interfere with your whatever it is that you're doing, like not interfering with your happiness, not interfering with your peace, not interfering with the good things happening for you, not interfering with your energy abundance, or I don't know, like all the things that can make you wealthy in a way. So even if it's as simple as health, let alone the fact it feels like there's no energy vampires and there's no one sponging off you. And I think that that's incredibly important for this group, because there could have been part of a lot of your change was having to come up out of situations like that. And sometimes those situations, whether we realize it or not at the time, can be things that we almost like we enter into them ourselves. And it's not always because we know better, right? Like there's a lot of compassion there for any side of that. Sometimes we do know better and we don't know what else to do. Sometimes we know better and we don't want to make a change because change can be scary. And Scorpio, for me, when you get that kind of phoenix out of the ashes, it's very much like if I look at Scorpio through the lens of Mars, like Vedic astrology, because you know Scorpio with Western astrology can be like Pluto ruled or dominant. When I look at the Mars ruled aspect of Scorpio, it is like the tower, right? That's kind of what it is to me. And it's like forced transformation. Sometimes it's like you might have had multiple, times or opportunities where you could have chosen to make that change for yourself, and it didn't have to be so painful or so, like I kind of get that deconstructive, reconstructive process that might be like really physically heavy, or it might be like feeling like you're completely broken down into nothing and being rebuilt up again out of seemingly nothing, like the ashes, right? The best analogy I've got is like a werewolf, right? They go through this like crazy physical transformation in the movies that we see, where it's like the bones are cracking and the clothes are ripping and there's like a absolute change in physical anatomy, right? For some of you, this could be a change in your psyche, like your psychology as a person, right? Personal psychology. This could also actually be physical transformations that you've undergone somehow as, as effect or a byproduct or part of the process, right? Because there can be a harmony here. And for some of you, I need to say physical exercise is really going to help you continue to transform up out of that old shit, whatever that was. It is very much making me think of like somatic healing, right? Where there's the energy, the wounding, the trauma that gets stuck in the body sometimes that can only be released somehow through like a physical kind of exertion or exercise, physical activity, right? Anyway, and I don't mean smegs. I mean like actually going to the gym or playing a sport or running. Do you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of independent exercise. So going for a run on your own, or I don't know, do you know, maybe not even like on your own. It could still be in a group setting, but it's not really like a team sport. What it makes me think of is like maybe you go to like a Pilates bar or yoga class or something like that, but like you know, there's that moment where they kind of dim the lights a little bit and they set the ambient tone of the room, and everyone is able to, even if they're not literally doing that, but everyone is able to step into a space where they're focusing on themselves. Like they might be following along to whatever the instructions are or the teacher is giving at the time, whoever's leading the class or session. But you're very much, it's like kind of you and yourself in that moment. And it's like, you are able to have this part of you emerge that doesn't get to come out in different areas of life because it's not always appropriate. Sometimes this is the only way we can get these parts to come out, depending on where we're at and where we've been. And you might find yourself shedding a tear or being in a weird emotional space that's not very comfortable in the middle of this class, and you're like, God, why am I like this? But it's like, it's not you, it's being human, but also it's actually good for you. And if there would be a way that you could find a way you're comfortable with, or that's very healthy for you to kind of embrace that, I think you will find that you will eventually kind of drain the well. You will eventually get it out and move past that. And I think when you are able to, this feels like very channeled, right? And I know we read a lot of books about it or see lots of stuff on social media and the internet around, you know, releasing stuff and our physical well-being improving. I feel like this is very genuine, and I feel like it's going to again be part of the byproduct. Is like, yes, you're obviously exercising, you're doing things that are good for your body or your nervous system as well, right? But both, also like your neurology just as a person, but the, like your brain health, like the size of increasing the volume of like your hippocampus and things like that, you know, all sorts. It's so good on every level. Like it's just, you, at this stage of like humanity and the amount of science that we have, you cannot ignore the fact that you need physical exercise. And even if you're not really capable of a lot, you just do like as much as you possibly can, even if it's a little bit, without pushing it so that it like hinders your progress in the future, right? A little bit every day, whatever it is that makes it achievable. You do what you can, right? And I just, yeah, we don't need to go into that. Okay, what else do we have here? So there is something here too where there might be some type of like vulnerability in establishing some type of independent, safe security within your own physical foundation. Some of you, this could speak to histories of physical violence, you know, experiences where you've been on the receiving end of that, or around people that have done that, and it doesn't matter what form that takes. But again, there's some of you, I have to say, you might be scared of your own power. You might like genuinely be scared of when you're in a position that you're actually like self-governed, self-directed, you've got sovereignty, like proper, you are in the driver's seat, you're the one calling the shots, you're okay to be, I don't know, maybe you're like naturally okay to be the villain in people's stories because you know where your heart sits and the choices you make and what you're doing and focusing on, right? We don't need to worry about what other people think of us, but there could be something here where it's like you're scared of your own power, of what that looks like when you're in charge of it and when you take responsibility for it. And so it might not really be about, like, it might have a flow-on effect of like, well, I don't want to, you know, do things that are like not okay to other people. And I know it sounds really weird, as if like, how do you not have control over yourself, or how do you not know how to not hurt people at whatever stage of life that you're in the, like, you know, that sort of thing. It's really not that I'm kind of trying to get at. I think it's more of a thing of like, maybe you're scared that once you're in a leadership or kind of position of a little bit of power, or people give you this acknowledgement, or they place upon you this authority, whether you want it or not, because you are actually very strong, literally like the phoenix or the teacher here in some way, or the wolf. Wolf is a whole nother tangent, but there's strong independence here. You don't really need people. That when they place this upon you, even if you are not self-proclaimed, that it could be hard to contend with the fact that maybe things you say might hurt just because you're speaking your truth or something like that, okay? I don't see this as a intentionally doing hurtful things or having a lack of self-awareness. This feels like I'm afraid to have that much power and be responsible for it. And what that makes me think of is that maybe in the past people have told you that you've been really hurtful when you've really just held a boundary for yourself, or you've really just had like a natural reaction to things and they wanted to manipulate you, control the situation, or didn't want to acknowledge something there like that. I don't really know what it looks like. We're not really going into it, but you kind of get the drift of where I'm going with that. It doesn't have to be the exact thing, can just kind of be the same, similar function, right? I also need to say, so Lepidolite, it's funny that we had like the death card come out, because this definitely can be like a transformational energy, right? Lepidolite is known for working with depression, maybe anxiety a little bit as well, stressful times. It can be like a really good for the nervous system, calming things down. This can actually be helping you just come out of depression. This can also be I used to get it as like connecting in with the Akashic records as well, because it can be like very strong in that third eye energy. And like connecting in with the universe, like the cosmos, like the, I don't know, whatever it is to you. But like other dimensions, right, for those of you that go there. I also get an element here of like astral travel. This could also be experiencing others that astral travel to you, that are kind of teaching you things as well as just being in your presence. There is something here where there's a call to be open to positive energies that, or entities that may come through. I think as long as you're comfortable and can tell that they're good, I think there's something here for some of you may be a little bit scared of them and you're not sure. But there's some sort of key that would be handed to you through that process. There is also something here that's like a recognition of your beauty. There is also something here that I need to say for some of you, maybe not everyone experienced it, but for some of you it's very specific and it's very important, that you may have had a state of hypervigilance that is now calming down, and there is this more quiet confidence. There's a greater sense of peace. There's a greater sense of strength here that you embody. You're the one calling the shots, and you do actually somehow, you end up tying all three of these energies together, and I think you become very, very powerful. Even if you're scary to other people and they don't understand it, I think it actually brings about very good, healthy times. And it's probably everything you've been waiting for. And I kind of got similar messages come through, I think, in group 1. So if you were like drawn to group 1, that might be something that's helpful for you. I just want to see if there's like anything else here that I have for you. I would be just wary that some people may try to like knock you off of some type of perceived or just any kind of pedestal. Not your self-perceived, like even if you don't find yourself in a position of a pedestal, other people may put you on a pedestal because of this perceived strength or the strength that they see you exude. So this one. I think there's something here where you may have a glow up, or you may, even if you don't have a glow up, you may have a very strong aura or energetic body. There may be, you may just have a health, like a healthy glow. Okay, give me 1 moment. Okay, so it also feels like this is something that you may have had to work on for a long time. For some of you, this is like a working on over lifetimes thing. We also have double confirmation of like the death card here. To some people, this is going to look very unfair. It's going to look unsavory. They're not going to understand it. It's going to look scary or intimidating. It's going to look harsh. It's going to look harsh. Yeah. It could look poisonous or something. But I feel like the people that perceive it in these ways don't understand like a true strength in some sense. They don't understand the coals that you had to walk, or like the fire you had to go through to, you know, there's that analogy of like sometimes the only way to kind of save yourself is to grab the crazy hot ladder to pull yourself up out of the fire, right? So there's things like that. You could, yeah. This is like strength coming in. Some people will feel bulldozed or trampled from this strength. And I actually think it's just because they know how strong you are. They can tell you've got this grit and this kind of like strong survival. Like when I say this survival thing, I don't mean that you're necessarily in survival anymore. I don't think that's the case. But you're like survival of the fittest kind of thing, okay? If that makes sense, like natural selection in some sense of the word. However, whatever that means to you and however that resonates, don't let it take from you or this reading. But your strength and grace and vulnerability, and how you handle yourself in situations and temper yourself is, and the way that you lead, it's really beautiful and it's really important. And people don't always like somebody else in a position they would like to be in, okay? Yeah, the energy has settled with that one. So that's everything that I have for you today, Group 3. Hopefully this is helpful in some way, and I'll see you in another one. If this resonated and you haven't already, definitely subscribe to the channel. Take care.